Hey, welcome back to the channel. You see an array of knives on the table. Um, some are big, some are small, some have 2 blades, some have 4, some have 6. All kinds of different colors and handle materials on these knives. Um, what do they all have in common? Well, this little curve right here, right there, a little curve on their back. And we call these knives Congress knives. That's what we're going to be talking about in the video. We're going to talk about what this pattern looks like, what you can expect from a Congress pattern, what to look for in a Congress pattern, a little bit about the history of it as far as I can find it. I'll share with you what I know. If that's something that interests you, go ahead and check out the video. Bum 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 bum.
Makes a lot of mess.
Bum bum bum.
Oh,
Bum 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 bum. All right, welcome back to the Fortified Castle. Hi, all my viewers. Bonjour, privet, guten tag, hola, ciao, konnichiwa, and good day, mate, to you, my foreign viewers. Wow, look at all these cool Congress knives on the table here today. Gonna be hard getting this focused with all this stuff behind the screen, but yeah, man, do you like a Congress knife? Is that a pattern you have? Is it a pattern that's intrigued you, that you're interested in? Do you never even look at these? What they are is a penknife pattern, and that's supposedly how they started out life. The earliest pictures that I can find of these knives, they're all 4-bladed knives, and I did find one that had 2 blades. But the interesting thing about this, I'm not going to tell you the interesting thing about it yet. I changed my mind. That's just how quick I am. I just, never mind. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, and so this pattern is characterized usually by square bolsters. Most of them have square bolsters, and most of them have this crescent moon type um, dip here in the back of them. And that's what we call a Congress knife. And they can have 2 blades. Here's a 2-blade variety right here. It's an old MCC, I think. Yep. Meridian Cutlery Company knife. And see anything on there? There's something written on there. Ah, man. Not really sure what that says. Anyhow, so they came in 2 blades. They came as 4 blades. You see 4 blades right here. Now, from the earliest that I see these knives, the blades are all different on them. And that's something like sometimes you'll read that they came with 2 sheep's whip blade, and then 2 blades, 2 smaller blades that were different. Sometimes the smaller blade was a manicure blade, like a file blade. Oh, there's one right here. It came with a file blade. So actually, when I look back in history, this is what I find, that they came with 4 different blades. And we're going to look at that. I know I told you we're not, but now I changed my mind again. We're going to go ahead and look at it. And so, yeah, this is pretty much historically what these knives came as. And I was able to go back to 1860 in a Mappin Brothers catalog, and they had a picture of one like this with a manicure blade. Different, all the blades were different. With the main blade was marked from Mappin Brothers as a Congress knife. So this knife had its name by 1860 at least. And so we're pretty sure that this pattern of knife stretches back into the early 1800s. It was a pattern, supposedly the first pattern that Sheffield made specifically for, let's see, that has two sheep's foot main blades, and then the smaller blades are a spear. And what's this other smaller blade? Two spear blades on that one. It's a nice knife, by the way. That's kind of what I see in history, is that they started out as four different blades. I'm going to show you some pictures right now, and the earliest one I have is from 1869. This is a Northfield, and this is an American company. This is American Knife, and you can see all the blades are different on the Northfield. And then we're going to fast forward to 1869, and this is a Jordan's catalog. And again, he was American, but he was producing his knives in England, and you can see again, it's four different blades on the knife. And then we'll go to 1884, and now you're looking at a Hibbert, Spencer and Bartlett catalog from 1884. And again, you can see they're all different blades on this knife. We'll go to 1896. You see some George Westinghomes there, and they're all the same blades. And finally, we don't get to that two sheep's foot blades and two pen blades or any other type of blade until the turn of the century. And this is a catalog up here of it's an E.C. Simmons catalog from 1924, and you can see that the knife has two sheep's foot blades and two pen blades of various types. And so I think that where we came into that period of time where we had, two blades, two large blades that were sheep's foot, was after the turn of the century. This is United Boker here, made in Solingen, Germany, and you can see it has a sheep's foot and a spear point as main blades on it. But yeah, so I'm not sure we could be really dogmatic about what these blades were typically. So here you see these are two sheep's foot blades. So this was always a pen knife. Around the 20th century, they start getting a little bigger. And when they did, they call them tobacco knives. So what's different about a tobacco knife? Well, these were pen knives, and a tobacco knife was bigger. It was about 3.5 to 4 inches. And that's when they started calling them tobacco knives. And so you hear that one of the things that happened with these pen knives was they were used in the South to cut tobacco. Well, this is pretty small to cut tobacco. I guess you can do it, but I have cut tobacco before. It can be pretty stiff. I don't know whether this would be the best knife to do it. And so, whenever I cut a plug of tobacco, it was on a bigger knife like this, like 3.5 inch knife. You know, that blade's big enough to do the job. So I'm not sure that they actually cut tobacco with these. The other thing you'll read is that these were really popular on farms for cutting like bales of hay open with the sheep's foot blade. And I've also done that. So again, you know, that twine is tight, and when you have to kind of force the knife underneath it and then pull up on it. And it's got a good design. You know, the sway back design of a Congress knife would lend yourself well to pulling up on the blade. But these are kind of small, so again, you know, you can definitely cut twine with this blade, but it's pretty rough work, you know, cutting these bales of hay open. They're really tight. The twine was tight, and you really want a knife that's a little more substantial than these little tiny knives here would be. And so, yeah, I'm not so sure that was a purpose of this knife. The fact that all the ones I see up until the 1900s were small and had 4 different blades on it just tells me, you know, these were probably you know, used as pen knives, used for cutting fruit. You know, small light duty work, everyday tasks. One of these knives, a Congress knife, was in Abraham Lincoln's pocket when he was assassinated. I should have took a picture of that. I didn't. But his was 6 blades. This is 6 blades right here. This knife has 6 blades, and his had ivory scales on it, and it had a shield, ivory scales, and it was kind of like let me see if I got one here. It's kind of like this shield right here on this knife. So this is a 4-bladed one right here. Sheffield produced knife, Wade and Butcher. Really nice knife there. Really, really nice. Man, look at that. So you hear a lot of stories about these knives. How do they get that name Congress? I'm not sure anybody knows, but the best story I heard was that Congress actually ordered 84 of these knives from Sheffield, and that makes sense to me. That Sheffield would have called them Congress knives because they weren't typical. This is not really a typical Sheffield pattern at the time, and it became, you know, a pattern that was specifically produced for the United States. So yeah, that makes sense to me. The same as sailor knives. You know, the Congress ordered sailor knives for the U.S. Navy, and so a lot of those early ones were made by Sheffield, and that kind of makes sense to me. The other stories seem to just have, you know, holes in them, but let's see. I want to show you. Okay, let's look at some variations on this. All right, so up there you see a picture of a swell center Congress knife, and that is a Congress pattern with a swell center in it, and it's considered a Congress knife. But I'm going to show you another knife that has a Congress pattern to it, but is not a Congress knife. And so if you look at this knife, it has 3 blades, and what this is a whittler. Okay. So what we call this, these are kind of rare too, by the way. So this is a whittler pattern. And as far as the patterns for whittlers are concerned, this is kind of a rare pattern, the Congress pattern for a whittler. And so this is considered a whittler and not really a Congress knife. And you would call this a Congress whittler, but it's not a Congress knife. Totally separate pattern, different. It's different than this knife right here. Even though they look the same, collectors wouldn't consider these the same thing. There's also, just like there's a swell center Congress that has a swell center in it, there's also a swell center whittler, Congress whittler. And again, the swell center, if it's a whittler, it's not a Congress, it's a whittler. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say without confusing you guys. All right, what else do we want to say about this knife? All right, why don't I just run through these real quick and show you some cool knives. This is a Schrade Walden right here. These are kind of scarce. You don't really see them a whole lot. Yeah. It's your model number. Schrade Walden right there. This is really nice looking knife. Works good. This is a United Boker. United Bokers were made by Boker and Solgen, but of course United is a separate company. And you see the kind of twin marking right there. It says United Boker on it. Here's a small one, and then here's a big one with fancy bolsters. Same thing. Made the same time frame, around between 1986 and 1996. These were made. This is a Camillus, kind of cool design. Small knife. Somebody didn't like Camillus and marked it out there. But these were produced late 90s into the early 2000s. This could date too. This is a Bulldog brand. See it right there. Nice etching on there. Tobacco knife. Kind of reverse etch. Really pretty knife. Well made too. Listen to that walk and talk on this thing. Big knife. That's a big knife. Let's see. This is my Rough Rider. I like this knife. I like that Celestial. That looks so cool there. Fairly big knife here. This is a Parker produced Wolstinghome. Really nice knife. Genuine smoky black lip pearl. So what that's called. This stuff is so cool. Out of the light, it just turns dark. And then when you come into the light, it fires up. See, it's hard because there's so much light here. It's hard for me to show you it's smoky, but it just turns black when the light isn't hitting it. And then when light hits it, it fires up. Pretty nice. This is a GEC and genuine stag. Nice. Northfield Unexcelled. This is a Robertson. Beautiful bone on that. Really nice. This is a big knife too. Let's see. About the same size. Over 4 inches on this. It's another Rough Rider Southwestern. I like this. This is all nickel silver. It's kind of crazy, but I like it. It's Schrade. This was a series Schrade made, all kinds of different patterns. This happens to be a Congress, but they made them in 1976 for the centennial. And these were made for Parker by Schrade. I already showed you the Wade and Butcher. It's a Sheffield produced knife. Here's another, this is a Parker right here. Parker produced knife. Let's see. Yeah, Parker. Man, I can't see that. Anyhow, moving on. What else we got here? Oh, of course, my case. This was the bolt knife last year. Love that. Red shield and the blue. Beautiful, beautiful knife. Beautiful. And this is a Boker. Right here, Tree brand. Probably 1960s. It's a 52 pattern, so you only have two blades there. This is a Moore and Hadley, and I believe this is a Boker. So this is an older knife, Moore and Hadley Hardware. That's a large hardware store in Alabama. People in Alabama go nuts over these knives because Moore and Hadley was one of the oldest and largest hardware stores in Alabama. So probably dates to the 50s, maybe earlier, than the 50s. And that's about it. I think I showed them all to you. Yep. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one.